Good day, everyone. Today we'll be continuing our discussion with the chapter units and measurement. We were discussing applications of dimensional analysis. So we have seen one application of dimensional analysis. Today we will see another very important application of dimensional analysis, that is the derivation of a formula. So what are the things which you should know to derive a formula for a physical quantity with the help of dimensional analysis? So, in order to derive a formula of a physical quantity by using dimensional analysis, you should know the factors on which that physical quantity depends. If it is not told you that the physical quantity depends on the following factors, you cannot derive the formula using dimensional analysis. So the factors should be told to you to derive the formula with the help of dimensional analysis. So it is done, or various steps are followed to derive the formula. I'll explain those steps with the help of a question. So let us discuss the application, that is to derive a formula using dimensional analysis. So derivation of a formula using dimensional analysis. Suppose there is a question says that centripetal force, it is a kind of force only, we will discuss about it later. Centripetal force on a particle moving in a uniform circular motion depends on, first, the mass of the particle, second, velocity of the particle, and third, the radius of rotation, means the radius of the circular path in which the particle is moving. Now we have to find the formula for centripetal force using dimensional analysis. So we know that the centripetal force depends upon mass of the particle, velocity of the particle, and radius of rotation. So we'll be using these abbreviations for mass, velocity, and radius of rotation. So kindly note down this question and I will solve it and will explain to you the steps which will be required to derive the formula for centripetal force using dimensional analysis. So let us start the discussion. So first of all, whenever you are provided with the factors on which any physical quantity depends, write down the factors. So we know that the centripetal force depends on what? Mass, velocity, and centripetal force depends on three factors. Centripetal force, let it be denoted by F. Centripetal force depends on mass. Centripetal force depends on velocity. Centripetal force depends on radius of rotation. Now I am writing this just represent it depends on. This is not directly proportional because I don't know whether it is directly proportional to mass or inversely proportional to mass. So I am writing this just to denote that centripetal force depends on mass, centripetal force depends on velocity, centripetal force depends on radius of rotation or radius of the circular path in which the particle is moving in circular rotation. So if I write all these three together, then it will be something like the centripetal force depends on mass, velocity and radius of rotation. So as I have told you, I don't know whether they are inversely proportional, directly proportional, whether they are having power square, whether they are having power cube, whether they are having power -2, whether they are having power -1. I don't have any information about their power. So what I'll do, I'll assume their power. So let me assume that the powers of m are, m is A, the power of mass is A, the power of velocity is B, the power of radius is C. Means in order to just find out that whether it is inversely proportional, directly proportional, it is having power square, cube, -2, -3, I have just assumed variables as their power. Now this is a relation. So we will convert it into mathematical equation. So we will introduce a proportionality constant, which is a dimensionless constant. So centripetal force is equal to constant into mass raised to the power A, velocity raised to the power B and radius raised to the power C. Now we will do what? We will write the dimensional formula for all the terms on LHS and RHS. So let me write the dimensional formula for terms on LHS. So the term on LHS is force. So the dimensional formula for force is mLT minus 2. What will be the dimensional formula for K? K is a constant and constants do not have any dimension. So it is a dimensionless constant. It will not have any dimension. What will be the dimension for mass? M, and the power of mass is A. So the power of dimension of mass will also be A. What will be the dimension for velocity? L, T minus 1. So the power of velocity is B. So the power of dimension of velocity will also be B. And what will be the dimension of radius? Radius is nothing but length. So it will be length. So the power of dimension of radius will be C. Now what we will do? We will add all the powers of similar bases, or we add all the powers which are having similar base. So in this one, the power of mass is 8. There is no mass present on this side, so m is having power 8. Now length is having power B, and here also length is present and it is having power C. So if bases are same, we can simply add the exponents or power. So L will have power what? B plus C, because here L is having power B, here L is having power C. So power of L is B plus C. Now power of time will be minus B, as there is only one time. So now in the previous class we have discussed one very important principle, that is principle of homogeneity. That is, for an equation to be dimensionally correct, the dimensions of LHS should be equal to dimension of RHS. Now whatever the dimensions are present on LHS, those dimensions should be present on RHS. So by using that principle of homogeneity, we will find the value of these variables A, B, C. So here mass is having power what? 1, length is having power 1, and time is having power -2. On LHS, mass is having power 1, on RHS mass is having power 8. So if the dimensions on both the sides is to be same, then A should have value 1. So we have found out the value of A, or variable A, as 1. How we have found out? By comparing the dimensions or similar dimensions on both the sides. They should have same power, because according to principle of homogeneity, the dimensions of RHS should be equal to dimensions of LHS. So whatever the dimension or whatever is the power of mass on this side, that will be the power of mass on RHS also. So here power of mass is 1. So here also the power of mass should be 1. From that comparison, the value of A comes out to be 1. L is 1. Here L is B plus C. So we can write B plus C should be equal to 1 because dimension or power of L is B plus C, and on LHS power of L is 1. So B plus C should be equal to 1. And comparing time, so minus B is equal to minus 2. So we can say that B is equal to 2 minus B is equal to minus 2. So B is equal to 2. So we know the value of A and we know the value of B. We know the value of A and we know the value of B. We can simply find the value of C by substituting value of B in this equation. So B is 2. 2 plus C is equal to 1. So C is equal to how much? 1 minus 2, that is minus 1. So we have found the value of all the variables or the power which should be raised to mass, length and time. And those powers or the value of those powers are A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2 and C is equal to minus 1. Now in order to write the formula, we'll substitute these variables to the power of mass, velocity and radius, because earlier we have assumed that the power of mass is A, the power of velocity is B and the power of radius is C. Now by comparing their powers or by using the principle of homogeneity, we have found the values of A, B, C. Now we can simply write these powers as centripetal force is equal to K into, we have assumed mass A, velocity B and radius C. So we can write K into m to the power 1, v to the power b is 2 and r to the power minus 1. So the formula comes out to be K into mv square by r. So this is the formula for centripetal force. This is the formula for centripetal force. Centripetal force is equal to mv square by K. We will write K mv square by r. This is the formula we have got. Now in the question, this value of dimensionless constant K will be given to you so that you can find the actual formula. Because with the help of dimensional analysis, you cannot find this dimensionless constant. It is what you can say a limitation of dimensional analysis. So this is how you can use dimensional analysis to find formula of a physical quantity if the factors on which that physical quantity depends are provided to you. So there are some limitations of dimensional analysis. What are the limitations? Dimensional analysis cannot find these dimensionless constants which are present in the formula. Second, if a physical quantity depends on more than 3 factors, then it becomes difficult to find or to obtain that formula using dimensional analysis. And one more limitation is that if trigonometric ratios are present in a formula, you cannot find them using dimensional analysis. So these are some of the limitations of dimensional analysis which we have seen. So kindly practice some of the questions to obtain formulas or derive some formulas of physical quantities using dimensional analysis. Today we'll be keeping it till here only. We'll continue further in the next class. Thank you so much.